to get things done, we really focus on just getting the job done with minimal resources. Hey everyone, this is Nezar Akeel from MaxPro.
Hey, this is Rolando with Global Tech Worldwide.
Hi, this is Lopa Vandermersch from Rasa.
Oh, you're listening to...
And you're watching...
And you are listening to the E-Comm Show.
Welcome to the E-Comm Show, presented by BlueTuskr, the #1 place to hear the inside scoop from other e-commerce experts, where they share their secrets on how they scaled their business and are now living the dream. Now, here is your host, Andrew Math.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ecom Show. I'm your host, Andrew Math, and today I am joined by Nezar Akeel of MaxPro Fitness. Nezar, how you doing? You ready for a good show?
Yes, ready. Let's do it, Andrew.
Beautiful. I love having fitness brands on this show, and I also know your space is getting wildly crowded, so I'm very excited to dig into this one and see how you guys are tackling that. But I digress. Let's start off with, why don't we pretend that no one knows who you are, and why don't you give us a little bit about your background, a little more on MaxPro Fitness, and we'll go from there, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, Nezar Akeel, out of the Detroit area. I've always been, Detroit, Motown, Motor City, automotive, right? So that's been my career for most of my adult life. And but fitness has always been a part of my life as well. Played college soccer, for example, and just wanted to stay fit and trim, even as life got busy and kids and business and all that type of stuff. And so the idea of MaxPro was really about how to bring a whole gym workout with me when I travel. And that was literally 22 years ago, believe it or not. And I had the original concept way back then. But then about 6 years ago, I dusted it off the shelf and said, wow, there's still nothing like this idea I had out there. So, I started working on it while I was busy with my other, career, job, life, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So I have to tell you this story. So I'm a big Shark Tank fan. I'm also a big fitness guy myself. And so I just moved into this house I'm in right now about 2 years ago. And we had an extra room. So I was like, I'm going to turn this thing into a gym. So I actually bought resistance bands, and I bought I don't know how to explain it. It's basically like a handle that you would put in like a bathroom for like an old person to help get in and out kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah,
I installed that into my wall. Turns out, so what I would do is I would put the resistance band through it and I would use it that way, right? Well, installed it horribly. And that thing came out of the wall one day.
Oh, no.
And needless to say, I thought for sure I was not having kids.
Oh, no. Oh,
so when I saw your episode, I was like, fuck me. But this is what I should have. This makes more sense.
Oh, my gosh.
Big fan of the product. And when I found out you were going to be on the show, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I got to tell them this story.
Oh, that's hilarious. And bands are dangerous, man. I mean, they're just like pent up energy ready to go towards your face too. Yeah, good thing you didn't knock yourself out either.
Exactly. So, you had this idea, you brushed it off, brought it back. What kind of got it going? And what was the beginning aspect of this company?
Yeah. I don't think there's any better time to be an entrepreneur. And our product is hardware, has a hardware platform, and then also software, app. And it's pretty comprehensive. And I did not have funding. This is a self-funded operation, bootstrap, everything yet you would imagine entrepreneurs would do. I did to bring this forward. And this is, again, not a kitchen widget. It's a pretty complicated product and has many facets to it. So it was just a pretty daunting task. But I say that it's the best time to be an entrepreneur because there are so many resources, global resources available to you at your fingertips, literally. And so up to my ability where I could afford, I was getting resources to help me engineer and design the product and move it, just inch it along day by day. It really took 5 years of development in this way because of lack of funding, just self-funding, to get the product to the level that you see it now. So the resources in terms of design, engineering, also the rapid prototyping capabilities that are available out there now to help you, reduce the cost of prototypes, and also the ability to market directly to people through the internet and Facebook, Instagram. That's all been unheard of to bypass the big marketing companies and things like that in the past. So those were the things I had going for me. Money was not going for me, but regardless, that didn't stop me. And I felt, honestly, if I could create something that I would use, that I know I needed, and then one other person felt the value or saw the value of that product and was willing to pay their hard-earned money for it, then that would have been a sign of success for me right from the start.
So you bootstrapped this.
Yeah, right.
Considering you're well into 8 figures at this point annually, correct? So you bootstrapped it. Did you put any kind of self investment into it at all, or is it completely like traditionally bootstrapped?
Traditionally bootstrapped, and if you say did I put investment? Yeah, I put investment in. So and not including any of the actual time or hours of along the way. I brought in an investment after we had a global debut at CES in 2020. That's the first time when I really got to have a wide audience really view the product, test it out. And at that, we were just inundated our booth from morning to afternoon. I mean, just was incredible response. We also got the Innovation Award. And so up and through that time, we didn't have any investment at all. We did do a Kickstarter in mid 2019. And that raised about $250,000 to help along the way. So I brought an investor in after January, basically to help fill the pipeline. But all of the tooling and everything else, the design and engineering, the app development was all done prior to that.
Wow. So you were did Kickstarter in 2019. You'd CES in 2020. Your timing, I'm imagining, was perfect. So how did 2020 into last year, 2021, go for you?
Yeah, it's obviously you're talking about COVID.
Yeah,
and that was timing was perfect and not perfect in a different sense. Because we had the Kickstarter in 2019, and it was about a year later that we delivered the product. But up to that point, when the COVID hit, the pressure for us to deliver became immense. And my philosophy or strategy was to grow slow, get the product out there. First of all, make sure that the product's okay, not just flood the market with product. And that would, I could see that as being a disaster, honestly, if things go wrong. And sure enough, there were a few things that went wrong. So the built-in built-in demand because of COVID was obvious, and we were pre-selling. So as we were pre-selling prior to deliveries, that was also helping us with the cash cycle to keep the development going. So that was a very fortunate thing for us. And all along, there hasn't really been any product deliveries until July of 2020. And then we're kind of waiting to see what the result is going to be. Up until that point, there's a lot of people who support you because you're an entrepreneur in a young company. And they're willing to forgive delays or quality. Well, hey, I supported this business. But from that point on, those are random people, stop finding your product online and then buying it and don't know you from Adam. And they're going to tear into you if your product isn't just right. And we did have a few quality issues early on that we had to communicate very openly and honestly. And we had to stop shipments. We had to rework parts and get those resolved within the first 2 months of shipping. And that was also COVID because I couldn't visit my manufacturing partner overseas during the launch or prior to the launch to make sure everything's perfect. So that was another negative of the whole COVID era launch. In the end, our product really very fortunate to have it very well received. You can see the reviews online. on our website or Google or Amazon, that people just absolutely love MaxPro's versatility and power and capability.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously COVID, while unfortunate for many, did help a lot of entrepreneurs that had businesses that can benefit from, at-home fitness specifically. How is it you were able to market this and stand out from the others that theoretically are still competition, like the Pelotons and the Tonals and the Mirrors and all those, how have you been able to get people to incorporate your product as well as your software into their workouts, along with all of these other fitness brands that are doing something similar with their own equipment?
Yeah, it's the companies you mentioned, the scale of those companies versus us is completely different. It's a David Goliath almost situation. I think Tonal had $750 million of investments. Tempo's had $300 million. We've had less than about two, right? So that is meant that we could not afford not to be profitable. We had to sell a product that is actually profitable because we take that, reinvest it into growing the business, as opposed to some other way of thinking where let's just grow the top line, let's just flood the market with marketing and brand building, and like Peloton, they're not profitable. And I don't know about the others because they're not public, but it's hard to imagine that we could never have done something like that. So we were competing on very uneven grounds. And so we did just grassroots type of social media marketing, a ton of whatever we could afford, and try to get the return on ad spend to a certain level that would allow us to, keep the cycle flowing. And that's exactly what we did. You're right. COVID did have an impact in terms of helping us keep that cycle flowing as well.
What's your approach been now that COVID is kind of, everyone's allowed out of their homes and businesses have reopened, people are going back into gyms? Like, how are you marketing it now?
Yeah, I think this exact point that you just brought up, Andrew, is really important for all people in the industry. I think, for any connected fitness device or just gym equipment or home gym equipment, I think they're probably experiencing a slowdown right now. Mm-hmm. That's to be expected. And for us, we have such a niche for our product. We don't mind, we would sell, or we do sell to gyms, and gyms could have a MaxPro class inside of their studio type workouts, because it's such a small, little package. Sorry, I'm gonna bring this over. It's just a small little package like this, right? So, yeah. And we have group training with it. So we don't compete with gyms. So that's a positive for us too, is that while people bought, I thought originally MaxPro was going to be for people who travel mostly. It turned out during our survey that we did that 80% are using it as their home gym. But what's so cool, because 60% of them, they also bought it also because they knew if they travel, they could take it with them. Mm-hmm. Or they can take it in the backyard on a nice day, or take it to the park on a nice day. And it really fills a spot that no other real gym has been able to actually target. And for us, being able to do 300 pounds of resistance on a pretty versatile machine really allows you to do so many different things with it. And you can do it practically anywhere. That's what's kept us so different and so unique. Even some of our recent marketing, the customers that have been sending in videos or posting, they are working out at a beach. They are working out on a battleship. We have military members who are working out on a battleship.
Awesome.
Yeah, or an aircraft carrier, and it's right over the water. We even have some in nuclear submarines, which is crazy for us. But you can understand why with the form factor.
Yeah, that's impressive, and that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. Is that all of the at-home fitness brands I can think of, none of them are mobile. At least the one that I can think of off the top of my head. But so obviously you just showed us the product. I know you have a kind of extended the line a little bit. You have a bench, and there's some. There's the track and everything. What is it? How was supply chain for you over these past couple of years? Has it been an issue as well? And if so, how did you kind of overcome that?
Yeah, I think for us, my background I've worked in Asia previously, and I run businesses over there in Japan and China previously, and I was very familiar with the supply chain, logistics, manufacturing operations, and things along those lines. And I set everything up early on. I would say had good partners in place, good contracts in place, and also good payment terms in place. And so when I started noticing that the containers were starting, this was before the port blockage, the containers started having shortages. And before the actual shipping costs went up, we actually did a very large order and buy at the beginning of the year 2021. Which hurt us on the cash side tremendously, but we were doing it to kind of preempt this issue of that is so prevalent now, not just in our industry but everywhere. We also had expected Shaquille O'Neal impact earlier in the year, but we never really actually got that. We as you know, we have a partnership with him, and he's an investor in the business as well, and that we didn't actually get any of his advertising out until the end of the year. So we had quite a bit of product in the middle of the year. So that also was, in hindsight, helpful from the port's perspective.
Good. So I don't want to say the elephant in the room, but when I've had several Shark Tank companies on the show, some love talking about it, some don't want to talk about it at all. It's always very interesting to hear that response. I know you were obviously on the show. Any insight into what that whole experience was like, why you decided to go on it, whether you regret it or not? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm a big fan of the show also. I watched it for a long time. So I loved everything about it. And it was nerve-wracking as hell. I just got to say, I wouldn't want to do it again. But I've spoken in front of crowds and stuff in the past, but definitely something about waiting behind those double doors, waiting for them to open up. And, it was really, I had to do some breathing exercises to bring my heart rate down. But, the sharks, first of all, they look identical to what you see on TV. I was really surprised at that. And, they were friendly. Even Mr. Wonderful didn't tear me apart too bad. I was there for about 45 minutes. The show's, I don't know, might show about 7-8 minutes or something like that. But I really appreciated the questions they asked, and they, some of the things that they said, I wish they would have aired. Like Lori said, you're the kind of entrepreneur we all want to partner with, and so I wish they would have aired some of that kind of stuff. But overall, I had an offer from two sharks, Damon Johns and Mark Cuban, and this was just December. It's just so if anyone's watching, it was just December of 2021. So not too long ago. And it was funny because, Damon came in early and he was like upset that I didn't reply back that he offered $500,000 for 3%. But, he did ask for royalties. And at the same time, I don't mean to be disrespectful to him, but right when he asked, someone else is asking a question and they totally pull you away from answering so you can answer a question. And it wasn't meant to, not answer to him. And then ultimately, as you might have seen the rest of the show, then Mark Cuban jumped in and and Damon's like, "You're out, I'm out." I'm like, okay. And I took Mark's offer. So yeah, it was a pretty exciting show. I got to tell you that much.
Yeah. Hey, the way they cut that show, sometimes it always drives me crazy because it's always interesting. And they really want an answer right now, but then the next person comes on and they're like, "No, you can shop us around." So I'm like, you guys really need to pick and choose if you're going to stick to a certain way. And I've seen that before too, where someone will make an offer and then someone talks over someone and it's your fault somehow that they're being rude. So it's interesting, but I digress. But
it was helpful for us from a brand awareness perspective. Sales obviously were huge for the weeks after that. Plus, it was around Christmas time and New Year's, New You. So it was just perfect timing for us, honestly.
Have you re-aired since the original airing in December?
No, not yet.
It'll be interesting to see what happens then, because I've had some people on the show that were on seasons 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they say when it re-airs, they almost always know when it's re-aired, and I believe they should even give you a heads up. I think because I would hope they would give you a heads up so you have inventory.
Yeah, I hope we do.
Where are you planning on taking this? So you've obviously grown it real fast. You're, already surpassing that 8-figure mark, which is a very tough area to break. You've been on national television. You did great at CES. Where are you planning on taking MaxPro?
Yeah, it's important, as you mentioned, to realize we've only been 20 months or something like that, and like you said, we're in the 8-figure mark now, and
Nuts.
And the cash management throughout that has been a crazy, as you would imagine. So for us, we have new products we're introducing on both the hardware and digital side. We're really excited about everything that we're doing is a very minimalist design approach to full body fitness. And we have many customer testimonials that talk about how literally everything they used to do in a gym, they can do with this MaxPro anywhere. And those, having more and more of those testimonials just support the fact that we're in the right track of what we're trying to do. The products that we're looking to move into on the hardware side are still, very close to being in development. But one of them we had on Shark Tank, which is basically a incline decline bench that converts into a rowing machine using the MaxPro as kind of rowing engine, let's say. And it's also a very unique offering that we have later this year. So on the hardware side, we're going to be growing, and on the digital experience side, we're really excited about that. We have 2 games, which they didn't show on Shark Tank, but we have 2 video games actually that we've developed and nearly finished. One of them is a rowing game, and one of them is a boxing game. So when we talk about MaxPro, we're talking about freedom, fitness, and fun. The freedom is kind of obvious, that you can work out anywhere, anytime, on your own terms, and almost like how people consume entertainment these days with Netflix on your phone, on your TV, anything, anywhere, anytime. It's the same thing with MaxPro. It enables that freedom piece. Fitness is obvious, but the fun is then when we provide more opportunity for gaming and social interaction. So in our app right now, for example, in our MaxPro coaching app, you can challenge friends. You can challenge them in a private room type of thing. You can create your own workouts and challenge them, or you can challenge them to a specific MaxPro class. And we have this MXP score that is basically how you rank yourselves in terms of the amount of energy you put into the workout. We also have leaderboards and things along those lines as well. And now we're moving to that gaming side where it's just going to be more fun and engaging to still get your workout in.
Yeah. Nice. So explain your model a little bit. Is it similar to, some of your competition where it's you purchase the hardware and then you have a subscription fee for the software, or is it you purchase the hardware and you get the software for free? What's been your approach? What's worked so far?
Initially, it was up through December of last year. It was hardware and app was free, but we had an old app that we totally rebuilt from the ground up and launched in December with all of the features that I mentioned to you and the gaming and things along those lines. So this now becomes a subscription model for $19 a month, added on with all of the coaches classes that we're putting in there. So all of that, the gaming would be included, the new classes would be included. And then we also have a really cool Detroit Dash. It's what we call it, because I have to put some props in there.
Some love.
But the Detroit Dash is actually, if you look it up on the app, it's our freestyle dash. It looks like a car dashboard. It's really cool. It has a rev noise at first, and then it gives you very detailed performance metrics related to velocity-based training, which is one way of training yourself to, if you're interested in working more the aerobic level or hypertrophy, meaning this muscle building level. You can actually see that real time visually, which would be the first time in a consumer fitness product that you can do that anywhere. So A lot of cool features built in right there for it within the app. And that's why we're also charging the subscription model. And then the hardware and accessories are additional, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really interesting as I've been in e-commerce for years, and on this show specifically, I've really started to realize a lot of different businesses really getting into the subscription model, and it makes a lot of sense. Your projectable cash flow, you kind of know what's coming in, or at least to a certain extent, and they tend to, if you're looking to exit one day, tend to exit with a much higher multiple. But there's always a big conversation around, companies just flip a switch and now we're a subscription, versus companies that realize you have to provide that extra value to justify that recurring cost for the user. What is it? Obviously you have courses and coaches. You have different classes and the games that are coming out and all these things that you're doing to provide value. How often is that stuff like being refreshed? What other aspects are coming with the subscription cost behind it?
Right. So we didn't for those that we flipped the switch on, we actually grandfathered in for many of the features that it already had. So, and code classes and so on. For us, we're refreshing every 2 months or so, adding like 20 or more classes. So it's a considerable amount that we have a studio in LA that we regularly bring coaches through. We also do regular lives on Instagram and YouTube. That then get also put into our app on a weekly basis. So those lives are free for anyone to see during the live events, and then when they get put into the coaching app, they just become part of the premium section. But so they're definitely we provide free content, and there's a lot of things you can do with the app even when it's free. So we're trying to, like exactly like you said, Andrew, is make sure that there's enough value that people will say, yeah, I think it's worth it, especially with the more coaches, classes, and gaming, and a lot of the performance metrics that I mentioned to you already.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things I was just kind of realizing as you were going through this, you're 20 months into this, and when I speak to someone that's 20 months into their business, the conversation is not like this. So what is it that I don't even know how I want to word this. What did you do differently that other businesses clearly are not doing? Because to get to, surpass 8 figures in less than 2 years is astounding. What do you claim is your secret sauce?
Thank you for recognizing the hard work that our team puts in. Honestly, we have a very small team too. And so again, it's hard to not be proud of what we've done because really with no investment, technically relative wise, no investment. I already gave the numbers of the people that are in the space. And so bootstrapping and getting things done and selling and accomplishing, and especially since the cost of marketing has gone up recently with Apple doing their security updates and things like that, e-commerce businesses have really been struggling to get the same kind of return on ad spend, and cost of acquisition costs have gone up. So for us, it's a daily struggle. I think I don't think we drink the Kool-Aid that you need to have large teams to get things done. I think you just need a small because our costs are really low too. So to get things done, we really focus on just getting the job done with minimal resources, right? We're also, I think, a very nimble company. When we want to design something, we literally can have a design put together, within a few weeks for a product. Yeah, the iterations after that, but to go from an initial idea to a prototype for us is within 8 weeks. And to test the theory out. So we don't limit our imagination, and we don't think we're too small for something. And that's helped. And I mentioned the support that you find available to you globally because of the gig economy and so on has also been a tremendous support system for our business.
The gig economy, are you referring to like Upwork, Fiverr, things like that?
Yeah, early on, I used all of those early on for you kiss a lot of frogs before you meet that prince, and then when you meet the prince, then you kind of keep that prince, So that's that. I mean, I've had a lot of trial and errors. Even when I was trying to get my circuit board designs, because there's circuitry inside the MaxPro and sensors that track all your motion and everything. I'm an engineer, anyways, by education, so I can help direct. And I don't get fooled too easily, I guess, if someone's not doing the work. And that's helpful. Let's put it that way. So, but still, we had some things that didn't work out and just had to keep on moving forward. I really do think that perseverance is the key, and not giving up if you feel like this product is going to be useful to some people. And just to that effect, I never realized how useful MaxPro is going to be. And I already mentioned how some of our military members take the product on deployment with them and literally won't go without it. But we're really most humbled, proud of the fact that people with disabilities are using the MaxPro and working out like they've never had the option to before. We have wrist straps, for example. Instead of using handles, if their hands are not functioning, they can use the wrist straps to get a body workout, which a lot of times they're in wheelchairs, right? So a lot of them are mechanized wheelchairs. So all of a sudden they're starting to really get the blood flowing. And it's really, really important for their bodies. We have people who had amputees, like lower leg amputees, for example, and haven't been able to do weighted squats with MaxPro. You don't have a weight, but you have resistance. So for the first time, they've been able to really get back into what they remember as a gym workout in a much more safe. You're not going to have a bar come flying at your groin.
Thanks.
In a safe way. We have people posting in wheelchairs. They roll right on top of the MaxPro and start working out. And weights are heavy, obviously. So it's dangerous for them to be picking up, bending over, dropping, and things like that. So there's a lot of things that we're quite proud of during this short time.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even think of that, and that makes a lot of sense. That's got to be very fulfilling to see. Absolutely. When you didn't expect it, and you're like, oh, I'm doing something really good here. Yeah.
That's what motivates our little team every day, honestly. And that's what also separates MaxPro from so many other products out there. I don't mean to plug it for specifically. I'm just saying that it's so unique. I mean, we have a product that is, the way it's used, it's so, it seems so simple when you look at it. It's like, okay, well, was it a hoverboard or something like that? What is this thing, right? Right? And it's really simple to use, but then you have to learn that there's so many things you can do with it. And then, like you said, if you add the bench to it or the wall track, you got that much more to do.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nezar, I really appreciate having you on the show. I don't want to take up any more time. I know you're super busy. I'd love to give you the opportunity here to just let everyone know where they can find out more about MaxPro Fitness.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, for having me on. It's just such a pleasure to talk to you. We need, people to know about what we're doing, I guess, and I appreciate you. MaxProFitness.com is our website, and then check us on Instagram, MaxPro Detroit, as well. And thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, Nezar. Really appreciate having you on the show. Everyone who tuned in, of course, thank you as well. Please make sure you head over to ecommshow.com and check out all of our other episodes, and make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer or on YouTube. But per usual, thanks again, and we will see you all next time. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of The Ecomm Show.